can tell you as far as the Mayfield Senior Center and the Alliance for Retired Americans, we will do whatever we can do to support you. If you need a place to meet, we will offer you a place to meet free of charge. We have no problem. Our mission is for you. Every one of our missions. You know, people ask me, Dan, well, why do you do what you do? You know, I says, well, you know what? I got one foot in the grave and the other foot's on a banana peel. It isn't about me. I'm going to try to help my kids, your kids, my grandkids, and your grandkids. Because let me tell you, folks, the way this country's heading, it ain't going to be there for our kids and our grandkids. I'm telling you, they're not going to retire on a 401k. Believe me what I'm telling you. Because nobody's done it yet. Once it starts, you're in that cyclical mood of the stock market. Now, my pension's in the stock market, and I know that, but it's amortized over a period of years. So, believe me, we are heading for a train wreck.
Something about John Bocherry. Representative Bocherry is here this morning with a heavy heart. He's here, though, for you, because he hasn't forgotten who you are and where you come from, because that's where he comes from. His dad passed away last week, and he's still here. So I want to say our deepest condolences and our thoughts and prayers are with you, and thank you for coming, John. Despite the fact that there are probably people younger than me here, and I can see there are people older than I am. But despite the fact that we have gray hair and we are getting older and we're becoming somewhat infirm in our old age, you folks are on the front lines, whether you know it or not, of the assault on working people in the United States. I don't think I have to tell you, because you, I'm sure, all vote. I trust you all vote. You know what's happening in the United States. You know what's happening in Ohio. The attack on unions from Senate Bill 5 in the Kasich administration. The attack on unions in Wisconsin from the Scott Walker administration. The attack on teachers, firefighters, police officers in Florida by the Rick Scott administration. All Republican and all ready to dismantle what we have worked so hard in this country to achieve. And that's fairness and justice and a decent living, not only a decent wage when you're working, but a decent retirement and health care for each and every one of you.
In one sense, you may be facing a bleak future if this happens, but in another sense, you're not facing it by yourself. There's a lot of folks listening on our program right now. There's a lot of folks who've contacted me, phone, emails. You've got a lot of support out there. And as Alan Schulman told you earlier, a lot of folks are watching this. You've got to knuckle down, find out what your rights are, and doggedly fight for those rights, because other folks are watching. If you are successful, they think they can be successful. So you just don't represent yourselves here or your families here. You represent, to a large extent, America.
Dave Dobo from the Congressman's office to address you. David?
Thank you, Mr. Congressman. Good morning. My name is David Dobo. I represent Congressman Jim Renacci. I'm here with my colleague Heidi Matthews. The Congressman is in Washington at the moment voting, but he took me aside and he said, David, this is very important. I want you and Heidi to go to this meeting. I want you to listen. I want you to take good notes, and I want you to report back to me. So those are my marching orders. I'll be available after this to talk to anybody that would like to. Feel free to contact the Congressman's office in Belton Village at 330-489-4414 at any point in this process, and I will report back to the Congressman what your thoughts are on this. Thank you very much.
But I just want to say that there's a lot that I need to learn about the issue that all of you are facing. But certainly this is a deep concern of Senator Brown. So I am here to listen and to learn today, but I do want to assure you that we will do all that we can. Senator Brown will do all that he can to ensure that you have the justice that you deserve. And this is a circumstance that certainly should not stand based on what I've heard today. Again, that there's more I have to learn, and the senator in our office cannot get involved with legal matters. But anything that we can do within the confines of Senate ethics and within the bounds of the Senator's influence, we certainly will do to fight for your rights and fight to ensure that you have the retirement that you earned and the retirement that you deserve. So I thank you again for being out here. This show of support is tremendous, and I think you all know that there are two kinds of power in this world. There's organized people and organized money. And it's very clear to me that you are the organized people who are going to get this justice that you deserve. So I thank you very much and look forward to listening and learning for the rest of the morning here.
Former Congressman John Boccieri. How are you doing, John?
How are you?
Glad to see you at this event. Have a quick comment for me?
Well, it's important that these retirees are taken care of in their senior years. And it's just criminal what's happening across the country. This is the same old story of companies that moved overseas, taking jobs, and they're taking pensions and health care away from folks who really punch a time clock and the sweat of their brow made those companies profitable. So the laws need to change, and we need representation in Washington that's going to make that happen.
He's may have gotten defeated in the last election, but he's certainly very popular here today at the Mayfield Center, where the former Hoover workers are banding together to fight cuts in their prescription drug care and their Medicare. And we did talk earlier with Congressman Boccieri in the hall, but it was noisy. Could you repeat what you had to say to us earlier?
Well, first let me use the words that Richard Nixon used. He said, "You're not finished when you're defeated, you're finished when you quit." And I haven't quit. And, we had some tumultuous time in our political history here. We have great challenges ahead of us, and the country has got to unite and come together. But what we're seeing from folks who are assembled in this hall here today is a reneging of their contract. They worked hard when the company needed them the most, and now when they need the company, they're walking away from their commitment to the people who made them profitable. And that is just a criminal, in my opinion. We in America recognize the rule of law. We recognize covenants, agreements, and contracts, and that stands before all else. And if a contract is not sacred in our country, I ask, what is? What is? And we need representation in Washington and in Columbus, in our state capital, that is going to stand up for the average people in our country. Teddy Roosevelt, who said this, is that the welfare of each of us is dependent upon the welfare of all of us. And the thing that has made our country strong is a working middle class. We've got to build things, grow things, and assemble things here in our country so that we can be strong.
Now, this fight will take a while. And is there any chance that we'll have Congressman Boccieri again running for this particular seat to help these folks out from your
Well, this fight will take a time. It will take time, and it's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this predicament, and these retirees find themselves in this predicament, but they're not alone. And we need folks to come together to stand with them. I can't say what the future will hold in terms of my political involvement down the line, but a lot of these folks supported me when I was running for office, and I wanted to be here to support them.
There was a report in the Plain Dealer yesterday that Congressman Renacci is a member of an all-men's golf club in, I think, Sharon Center out in Medina County.
Right.
You have a comment on that?
I just find it most unfortunate. When we ran our campaign, first of all, Mr. Renacci beat me fair and square in the election. I congratulated him, but I have watched him over the last several months, and everything that we talked about in our campaign is falling true. How can you relate to people like this when you belong to golf clubs like the one he belongs to? How can you relate to people like this when you've been sued 43 times in court? How can you relate to people like this when you haven't walked a mile in their moccasins? This is personal for me because my parents are both retired and are living off their pensions. So this is extremely personal. But when you go to Washington and you vote against the interest of working people like this, making them pay an extra $6,000 for their own Medicare, taking away options that would make our country stronger in terms of growing it, building it, and assembling it here, I don't know how you can relate to folks like this who are assembled here today.
So you're not optimistic that Congressman Renacci will be of any help to these folks?
My doubt is that he would support measures that would continue to ship jobs overseas. We may mention that in the campaign. He has doubled down on his efforts to make sure that these big corporations have the wherewithal to pack up and move overseas. That's just the facts. And if that's what our country wants, it's not what our country needs. That's what this district has right now in Washington.
One of the criticisms he made of you during the campaign was that you voted too much with the Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. I've written blogs, and I say, well, things have flipped, yeah, and he's voting 100%. Right.
Well, it's very clear that when they call their marching orders, he walks lockstep with John Boehner and the rest of the Republicans in Washington.
We're here this morning with Congressman Jim Renace's constituent services representatives, David Dobo and Heidi Matthews. And Heidi, by the way, happens to be the wife of Stark County Republican Party Chairman Jeff Matthews. So David addressed the large crowd that's here today, and you have to be impressed by that.
Absolutely. Good turnout.
Right, and has told the assembled crowd that Congressman Renace hears them and sent Heidi and himself here to listen intently to the concerns of the former Hoover employees. The question I have as a follow-up is there any indication whatsoever that Congressman Renace is prepared to take steps to intervene in this process to stop the diminution of benefits?
Well, as the congressman for the 16th District, Congressman Renace has options to contact the Department of Labor for a start, perhaps the Employee Benefits Security Administration, which is the arm of the Department of Labor in charge of enforcing federal pension law. So that's something definitely that he can look into. But right now, this is information gathering, and we're going to go back and brief him and try to develop options going forward. Absolutely.
You want to add anything, Heidi?
Well, that's our goal today, is just to